Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. August Shri Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to our morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we will be discussing from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 3, verse 12. And the class will be given by His Holiness Chandramauli Swami, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you and all good to Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Ho. Glories to you and glories to all the devotees. My obeisances to everyone.
That was some rocking kirtan, right, Maharaj?
I was thinking, I hope she forgets to shut it off.
I was hoping that too, but I said no, but I'm sure you're waiting for the class, so I didn't want to make any offenses for Maharaj and not start the class for you. This was such a nice kirtan.
Oh, then there was so the melody is so deep melody. Yeah, Kadambakana Maharaj, he blows the roof off every place he goes. I saw people go literally mad in this kirtan. I mean, just almost like the Beatles, you know.
Wow.
Screaming and just
It's like they lose all composure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like a dry wood. Just take touch a little match to it, and it's burning in no time. It's like his kirtan is really good.
Oh, amazing. Maharaj, is he still in Mayapur or Vrindavan?
He's in Vrindavan.
He's in Vrindavan, okay.
He's decided that he wants to depart. I'm sure people are coming up with him with various types of alternatives. I think, of course, I'm just going by what happened in the past is that he has said, and also Jayadvaita Maharaj, who is his guru, also said that he's just doesn't want to waste time trying to get well. He just wants to use whatever time he has left and just dive into Krishna consciousness and leave it up to Krishna.
Wow, amazing. His kirtans are like avadut. It's like completely.
Yeah. I've been with him many times in Kirtan, so many times, especially in the recent past. Some really deep.
Amazing, Maharaj.
Yeah, so Krishna is empowering devotees in some ways. Kirtan empowerment is the ultimate empowerment. I'm here in India. We did a program last night in a place called Kolhapur, which is a big community of Vaishnavas, mostly all disciples of Radha Swami, going on for years. And we had kirtan, and it was mad. I was dancing with about 50 kids on the stage. All the kids from the elegance just ran up, you know.
Oh my gosh.
It was we wasn't sure if it was a kirtan or it was a fight, but it's kind of a combination of both. But I had a real good Madanga player. He was pounding that Madanga with big smiles on his face at rocket speed. People in the audience were going mad. It was good. It was good.
Wow.
After I was over, I was just like, I felt spiritually satisfied and materially destroyed.
Oh my goodness. Amazing, Raj. Amazing.
We're gonna do it tonight again.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Right after your show, you have another program. There's about 200 people.
Amazing. Well, Marge, I'm not gonna hold you up. Please, you can start the class, Marge. That way you can have more fun tonight.
Having more fun talking about kirtan.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's our life. Kirtan is our kirtan. Bhakti Siddhanta says those who he uses a certain word, those who emphasize the kirtan of the name, the holy name of the Lord, are, in other words, they're destined for spiritual world. Can't remember how he explains it, but he puts a lot of emphasis on those who love to do kirtan, who inaugurate kirtan, who take part in kirtan.
Wow.
It's a lot of emphasis. Prabhupada did too, the importance of kirtan.
Wow. And it's so nice to see today's times, Maharaj. So many youth, so many of them are really setting the way and the example and the mood of really getting absorbed in the holy name.
Yeah, I see. And when I came to Harrisburg, it's a good rocking program there. Yeah, it's good to see that. And this is Krishna's, and he's empowering these young people who are connected with our society, either in this life or coming from previous lives as children of our devotees, who focus on kirtan. And it's really big. I mean, just like coming up this next week, not this weekend, next weekend is a huge, gigantic 3-day kirtan in a place called Pune. It's just north, just south of Bombay. Maha's going to be there, and many local kirtan ears from India are going to be there, and many other persons.
Nice.
Yeah, so kirtan. Madhava travels all year round, going from kirtan place to kirtan.
Wow.
That's all he does is kirtan. Sometimes you take a break, rest a little while, but constantly moving all around the world.
He really loves the holy name. Even the way he chants is so meditative.
Yeah, that's a perfect word. It's a meditation.
So sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, the kirtan wave is big, and it's picking up more speed too. It's good.
Oh, that's nice. Wonderful.
Yeah. It's like I will be going back to Ljubljana for Gaur Purnima, and we'll probably have a 3 or 4 day kirtan festival there for Gaur Purnima.
And that will be back in Ukraine, Maharaj, or
That's in Ljubljana in Slovenia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Of course, Sadhu Sangha is coming up in the US on the 26th of May.
Yes, I heard. Yes.
I'm going to be there. I'd love to see you.
Oh, Marge, we will definitely try to come. Yeah, I just found that out. Yes, I have to figure out with the services, but we will definitely try to come, Marge. Would love definitely would love to see you. Absolutely.
I'll be down. There'll be many great kirtanians. That's 3 days. And, kirtans are happening everywhere. If you're on the kirtan mood, you'll notice everywhere around the world there's programs for extended kirtan weekends or days. It's going on everywhere. Nice.
Amazing. And Marge, when you come in the end of May, will you be here for a while, Marge?
I'm going to be here. I'm going to be in America in the beginning of April.
Oh.
And then I'm going to a few places, and Pennsylvania is somewhere around the map.
Oh, good, Marge. I will contact you, Marge.
Definitely come.
Oh, good.
What if you could organize like maybe even like a 12-hour kirtan day, like pick one Saturday or even Sunday and have it from like 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 in the evening. Just do a 12-hour kirtan.
Maharaj, when you are here, we would love to plan for that. And I'm sure our congregation our youth especially, would love it.
It'll really put Harrisburg back you know, in a very prominent, you get more and more. As soon as you start doing kirtan, everything comes, everything else
Yes.
follows. And the other success in any other areas will all centers around things.
Marge, I will definitely contact you after the class on when you will be here, and we can plan for that one Sunday. And and I see our devotee Nitya Gopal Prabhu is online, and he loves Kirtan Maharaj. He can dance off like like yeah.
That will be mercy to have Maharaj to enjoy the kirtan with Maharaj.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I see him in many kirtans.
Yes, Maharaj. So how contact you, Marge? I'll write to you after the class, and we can plan when you'll be here, and we'll have a nice program. Oh yes.
I'm in the US, April, May, and June.
Okay, April, May, June. Perfect, Marge.
You know, so some weekends are full and others are open. So we can just
Okay, okay, Marge. We will. I'll definitely write to you and plan your open weekends a week. We can plan something for sure.
Okay.
Whenever you come, Marge, the congregation gets younger. Even the old gets younger, Marge.
Anybody sit down? Can't sit down. No wallflowers allowed. Even though they're flowers, we take them off the wall and put them in the plants and circulate the plants all around. No wallflowers allowed. We had a river on kirtan last night. The ladies got so excited, they started almost running onto the stage, you know, the whole of the women's group. They came right at the brink of the stage. So I just handed them the microphones and they started to sing also. It was a wild kirtan. It was something out of combination of vaudeville, slapstick, chaos, and Gauranga Mahaprabhu's mercy.
Hare Krishna, Marge, we humbly request that when you come here, Marge, we want to see all that, Marge. We want to experience that with you, Marge.
I'll leave out the chaos because it was a really great kirtan. The kids really took to it like they were just bopping all over the place.
Maharaj, we have that kind of fun during the Janmashtami.
Yes.
We get the lot of crowd, even the non-regular devotee, and they go wild when they see the kirtan.
Yes.
Yeah, kirtan is the Yuga Dharma. Lord Chaitanya came to give us this mercy.
Yep.
He
Absolutely.
demonstrated it, and he taught it.
So we'll arrange when Maharaj is here. We'll arrange all kinds of devotees. They will have the fun.
Yes, Marge. I will definitely write to you, Marge, after class and find your and request for your open weekend when you're here, and we can plan something. Oh, it'll be so ecstatic.
I was with Trivikram Swami. We were doing a joint program about a month ago. And he loves kirtan. He's just like absorbed in kirtan. So we were both supposed to speak. So when I came in, he was reading kirtan. Then I joined. There was about maybe 150 students who came for the program. And so then I spoke for about 20 minutes. And then it was his turn to speak. And he said, Prabhupada said, speak less, kirtan more. So he said he started doing kirtan as his presentation. And then he spoke a little bit. But anyway, yeah, he's another person who just loves kirtan. When you understand kirtan in its essence, you understand that this is the way you become Krishna conscious. Dancing, taking nice prasad, associating with devotees, sharing philosophical knowledge. It's a wonderful process. Can't beat it. All centers around kirtan.
We will plan for that, Maharaj. We will plan for that.
you want to do 2 days, I have no objections.
I will write you, Marge, for sure. I'm more excited. I will write you after and get your dates, Marge.
All right, I'll let you do the planning and then you can, then we can decide on the dates.
Yes, Marge.
Okay, so we take Tanya, Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 3, verse number 12. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Or Bhaktivinda Dasa Sakka Pitta Matta Kanta Gana Lana Rajya Kriya Kar Krishna Prema Vistahana. Absorbed in such transcendental love, Lord Shri Krishna enjoys in Braj with his devoted servants, friends, parents, and conjugal lovers. Absorbed in such transcendental love, Lord Krishna enjoys with his friends, lovers, and other persons. The descendants of Shri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is very purposeful. In the Bhagavad Gita said that one who knows the truth about the Lord's descent and his various activities is once liberated and does not have to fall again to this existence of birth and death after he leaves his present material body. In other words, one who is factually understands Krishna makes his life perfect. Imperfect life is realized in material existence in 5 different relationships we share with everyone in this material world. Neutrality, servitude, servitorship, friendship, parental love, and amorous love between husband and wife, or lover and beloved. These 5 enjoyable relationships within the material world are perverted reflections of the relationships with the absolute personality of Godhead and the transcendental nature. That absolute personality, Shri Krishna, descends to revive the 5 eternally existing relationships. Thus, he manifests his transcendental pastime in Braj so that people may be attracted to that sphere of activity and leave aside their imitation relationships with the mundane. And after fully exhibiting all such activities, the Lord disappears. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stampikam Deva Bhutale Swayam Rupakadam Mayam Tatati Swam Patatitam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Paskat Vedosatane Panchakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhupe Pachak Vitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the activities that conditioned souls perform in this material world are reflections of the pure activities that go on with Krishna in the spiritual world. The word rasa means mellow. Mellow means a certain flavor that comes with a certain type of relation. So there is a flavor that people taste in a friendship relationship. There's a certain taste of flavor that people taste in master and servant relationship. There's a flavor that people taste in parent and child relationship. And of course, the most flavorful of all the relationships, although everyone has flavor, this is a condensed form of flavor in the sweetness of conjugal relationships with lover and beloved, husband and wife. And so these four, along with the neutrality, which means to appreciate and meditate on something without any activity, in that mood of appreciation, absorption, that activity is also a flavor that comes by way of that activity. Each of these flavors are sweet, but they have a certain mood to the flavor, which gives that particular relationship its unique quality. And so these relationships that we have in this world, based on these five connections, neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parental love, amorous love, are actually coming from the original source, and that is Krishna himself. As Krishna is the source of everything, he's also the source of relationship. So relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not limited for just to master and servant. Some religious teachings just limit their teachings to this particular. Of course, that is the foundation for the relationship. But as the relationship develops in the relationship to that association, then these other relationships can also manifest. So they're there in the spiritual world. Krishna has his friends, Krishna has his parents, Krishna has his relationships with the cows, Krishna has his relationships with the gopis, and of course, with the trees, plants, the birds, and others, they're more in a neutral relationship with Krishna. Some are in a dasi relationship or servitor relationship. So these things in the material world are fraught with difficulties, and they're also temporary. They're reflections of the reality. So because that nature is there within the soul, we manifest that same nature in a somewhat reflected way in this material world. It's almost like a shadow of the original. A shadow looks like the original, but it cannot perform the activities of the original, although it has the same form as the original. Or you might even use the example of a mirror. If you sit in front of a mirror and you eat something, you're tasting something, but the image in the mirror is not tasting anything, because there's no one in that reflection. It's just a reflection of what is on the outside. So this material world is like that. And there is no juice to the activities that go on in the spiritual world that are full of transcendental happiness and joy. So that is our nature to experience that. But here people take up these mundane relationships, which we all get them because just being in this world. We all have parents, we all have friends, sometimes we have some relationships with people that we work for, more like master to servant or boss to employer to employee. And sometimes we engage in these other things also. But in the spiritual world, all of these activities are pure, just like the example of the amorous loving relationship in this world as opposed to in the spiritual world. So in this world, the standard, at least the accepted moral standard, is to get married and have a relationship with your partner. And that amorous relationship is based on the sweetness of that love. Now, if people want to have a relationship outside of marriage, that is called cheating or illicit activities. But in the spiritual world with Krishna, that same relationship has a higher principle than it does in the material world. In other words, one may be condemned in the material world for taking relationships outside of marriage, But in the spiritual world, that is considered even higher than being married, just like the gopis. The gopis have husbands, but they give more attention to Krishna than their husbands. And they're always eager to be with Krishna, to serve Krishna, to enjoy with Krishna in the amorous mood. And Krishna finds that very pleasing. And then that type of relationship makes it exciting when there is some cheating going on in the name of loving Krishna. Because when Krishna is the center, everything is of the highest standard spiritual morality. There's no such thing. Therefore, Krishna can enjoy with 16,108 women, and it's all considered to be the highest form of loving expression. Because he is the source of everything, he is the summum bonum of everything. He is the principle by which love exists, and therefore he is the embodiment of pure love in complete manifestation of that pure love. So when he performs loving relationships, whether it's with people who are married or not married, that is considered to be spiritual love. But if we do that in the material world, there is some condemnation, sometimes there are some legal infractions, and it's fraught with difficulties. So there is a twist in the loving relationships in the spiritual world as opposed to the material world. If one goes outside of marriage, that is considered to be, degraded, abominable, illicit. But in the spiritual world, if they go outside of marriage to be with Krishna, that is higher than accepting a married partner, even though they may be married. When the wives of the Brahmanas left their husband to be with Krishna, Krishna really appreciated their love, but he told them, your love is not perfect. Go back and stay with your husband, and when your love becomes perfect, we will meet again. And so, is Krishna interfering with with marriageable relationships? Anyone that's married to Krishna in the spiritual realm is just part of Krishna's Lila in order to enhance the loving pastimes of what we call paramour love or extramarital love. But don't try it in the material world, because here it's condemned, and sometimes you can also get killed. If you hang around with somebody else's wife or husband, you might find yourself in a very difficult situation, and you might even lose your life. So that's not recommended. In this material world, it's recommended that one stay with one particular partner up until the time of retirement from all responsibility. But in the spiritual world, anyone who gives up their duties towards anything and goes to Krishna, that is considered the highest form of duty or the highest form of loving expression. Krishna is the center. That's why when Krishna told Arjuna to fight, and Arjuna didn't want to fight, Arjuna was basically talking about immorality, and Krishna was telling you, you're talking about, all of these good qualities and moral principles, but I can say you're a fool because you don't know what real morality is. In other words, to follow the instructions of Krishna or to give pleasure to Krishna is the highest form of morality and spirituality also. So we want to experience the happiness of these different moods, then one should aspire to develop these relationships with Krishna. Therefore, in the process of bhakti, at a certain stage of development, one develops an attraction for a particular mood by which they can serve Krishna, and usually in friendship, parental love, or conjugal love. Then they connect with a person who is in that mood, and then they worship that person, pray to that person, honor that person, glorify that person. And that person helps them come higher and higher towards that same rasa, or that mellow that they are in. Like that. So that's a stage of bhakti, but it's there in Lord Chaitanya's teachings. It's called spontaneous loving attraction. So we should aspire. Aspire means to come to the point of fulfillment or perfection for a particular relationship with Krishna. We all have the relationship of servitorship. That is, we're all servants of the Lord. Jiva Surupai Nitya Krishna Das. But in these loving relationships, in friendship, the friends are serving Krishna. In parental love, the parents are serving Krishna. In amorous love, the gopis are serving Krishna. So it's all based on service, but in a particular flavor, a particular mood. In the material world, people take these relationships as an opportunity to gain their own benefit. A person will develop friendship from another in order to get something from that relationship that will help them in their own desires in life. So, and even in servitorship, like that also. Sometimes in married life, people take advantage of each other in order to fulfill their own life. So when one is motivated by personal interest, it's now that is material. One is motivated by Krishna's interest or the mood of service, that is spiritual. Okay, so this is a very sweet and very direct. Prabhupada gives a nice purport that the relationships in this world, Krishna came to perform his pastimes in these different relationships with his eternal associate. In Vrindavan, in Mathura, in Dwarka, and in other places, just to attract the conditioned souls in this material world to have a relationship with him in these different flavors accordingly. So Krishna performed. He was in friendship. He was in conjugal love. He was in parental affection. All of these things went on while he was here in the material world. He was also in Dasya. And people who admired him, who associated with him and had an attraction to him, but didn't do any service, they were in the mood of neutrality. So yeah, when Krishna is the center, then everything becomes successful, or sweet, wonderful. It's because Krishna is the center. We accept different centers in this material world in order to function according to the laws of the material energy to maintain the body. But this is just a drama that we have to play in order to ultimately come to the stage of acting in our real constitutional position, loving service to Krishna in one of these 5 transcendental metals, the rasas. When Krishna comes and he acts in these relationships just to show the beauty of these relationships. And he brings his eternal associates, his friends, his conjugal lovers, they also descend with him from the spiritual world to assist him in their pastimes in the material world, where those who are devotees in the material world, if they are fortunate, they come in contact with Krishna while he's here, and then they move forward in a very developed way towards the goal of life. And as Prabhupada mentions in the very beginning, he says that one who knows the truth about Krishna's descent and various activities is at once on the liberated platform, doesn't have to fall again into this material world. And that is Janma Karma Chime Divyam Edavya Vititopataha Tattva Deham Purna Janma Naitimam Eti Sur Juna 4:9 in the Bhagavad Gita. The one who knows the transcendental nature of my activities and birth in this material world does not, upon leaving the body, again take birth in this material world, O son of Kunti. So Prabhupada is on record by saying that this is the most important verse in the Bhagavad Gita. And this was brought out by one of his Prabhupada's very advanced sannyasi disciples. In a lecture, he said that this, he heard it from Prabhupada directly, Prabhupada said this verse from the 4th chapter, 9th verse is the most important verse, because it says here, if you know, and that means if you realize the nature of Krishna's transcendental activities and his birth are divyam. Divyam means they're not part of this material world. Although he appears to take birth, he doesn't take birth. Although he appears to performing activities like the conditioned souls, these are all on the transcendental platform. If you realize that, then 19 Mameti Sorjuna, you don't take birth again in this material world. So quoting this verse is really the understanding of the success of bhakti, to understand Krishna and to develop these relationships with Krishna, which gives us complete understanding of Krishna. We all have a relationship with Krishna, but it's hidden, it's covered by this material body, material world. Uncovering that is the process of devotion. Prabhupada says that bhakti is simply uncovering what is the truth, revealing the truth by getting rid of the untruth. More like shedding away the unnecessary and then coming to the essence. It's like a diamond may be found in a rough. If you take the diamond and you can't see the glitter of the diamond, but if you polish it, and then all of the contamination of that stone disappears, and the beautiful, sparkling, cluster, pure diamond shines. So our soul is like that. It's pure, it's full of love for Krishna, but it's covered by this material energy in the form of these mundane relationships that go on as sources of happiness in this world. Okay, so thank you. We can go into the area of discussion.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. As you were speaking, it sounded so flowy and so sweet that I'm hoping that devotees have a chance to ask questions and to really reflect on this amazing class, like you said, amazing purport by Srila Prabhupada, sweet and yet so nice. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to ask devotees, if you could turn your videos on wherever you are, that'd be really nice, so that Maharaj and as we can have each other's association and darshan. And if devotees have any questions, please do raise your hands. Okay, I will have Nitya Gopal. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandatanam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Very nice class. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful topic. So Maharaj, when we are discussing about the relation in this world and the spiritual world, so does spiritual world has the relations like the gopi has the material relations in this world? The spiritual world has the relations like material relations in spiritual world for gopis?
Material?
In the sense, gopis are the daughters, wives, and in the material world here, they are the wives, daughters in the material world. Does gopis has the same relation in spiritual world?
Yeah, but these are just shadows in order to enhance the pastime of Krishna. Here, Radharani has a husband whose name is Abhimanyu, who plays the role of her husband. And then she has his mother, who is her mother-in-law. She is Kutila, no, Jatila. Jatila is the mother-in-law of the mother of Abhimanyu and mother-in-law of Radharani. And so the pastimes go on in the spiritual world also, where Jatila is always watching out for Radharani so she doesn't run to Krishna. And Krishna is always using his, just like one time, Krishna took the form of Abhimanyu and came. And then he wanted to associate with Radharani, so he took the form. So he was there in Yadvat, which is the place where Radharani lives. And in there, Jatila and her daughter Kuchila, sister of Abhimanyu, were there. And then just a little bit after that, the real Abhimanyu comes. And then Krishna says, there's Krishna in the form of me, who's coming to sneak up on Radharani. And so, Jatila gets really excited and she goes out there and starts beating her son, thinking it's Krishna. And Krishna's laughing. But Krishna is a little mischievous because that's what it takes to get things done. So all of these people were put in place like that by Purnamasi, who is the commander-in-chief of Vrindavan. And she has these relationships set up, but she understands it's just to enhance the loving relationship with Krishna. Because the excitement of power or love is greater than what is called nuptial love or wedlock. So happiness, all of these persons are there. But every girl belongs to Krishna. So if you think that your wife is for your enjoyment, you're stealing Krishna's property.
Whole universe is belong to Krishna Maharaj. We are also belong to Krishna.
Because that's the source of existence, Krishna.
Yes, everything emanates from him.
This world is a drama, and we're just on a stage and playing roles.
Right. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you. That was a nice question. Nice start of the discussion. Thank you. Parikshit, go ahead. You're not muted. Are you able to unmute yourself?
No, it got minimized on me something. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the lecture you gave, how you explained it, gave even deeper meaning to chapter 4, text 9, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, and the understanding of that. That when you said that when we do everything to satisfy Krishna, then that's spiritual, no matter what the level is and what the activity is. So you also mentioned that the gopis relate to Krishna and conjugal love, and they like to do that even more than relating to their husbands. Then I began to think about the husbands. So what's their relationship with Krishna then, if I'm taking the two things together and saying that the gopis relate to Krishna? We can understand that in conjugal love to some extent. Of course, we're not in the spiritual world. But what is the relationship between the gopis' husbands and Krishna then? That's what I was wondering about.
They make it exciting by trying to prevent their wives from going.
Oh.
It increases the love of the wives to be with Krishna. So obstacles just increase in the mood of wanting to be with the lover. If something is so easy, sometimes it's taken for, but if you want, there's obstacles in it. When you overcome the obstacles and you get your desired goal, it's even greater, it's even sweeter.
It's more exciting. Okay. Okay.
And when Prabhupada wanted to get that temple in Bombay, the Radha Bihari temple, there were so many obstacles. But Prabhupada was like a general on the battlefield commanding his disciples how to fight the battle in order to get that property, which was rightfully ours, but that we were trying to be cheated in. And we were up against some really heavy opposition, really heavy, from government people, and people who had power and positions and money. But Prabhupada fought his way through that. If you read the book written by Giriraj Swami, Let Me Build You a Temple. It's a beautiful, very big volume book on the whole story of that gaining of that temple. It's an amazing experience. And Prabhupada at the end, he said, it was a good fight. No, devotees enjoy a little bit of, friction in order to get to serve Krishna. Sometimes we create that. Yeah, the Prabhupada also said, sometimes you should try to do something difficult in order to spread Krishna consciousness.
That was a really nice question.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch the last one. It said sometimes we should do, Papa said we should do something difficult in order to.
Take a risk for Krishna.
Oh, take risk for Krishna. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Don't risk your Krishna consciousness.
Don't risk your Krishna consciousness, Maharaj said, but take risks for Krishna. Maharaj, that is a really, actually, I'll go to Dir Krishna's question first, Maharaj. He has a question in the chat where he said, Hare Krishna, Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to your prophet, all glories to you. Thank you for the wonderful description of this nectar verse. Krishna comes himself to attract living entities, giving them the opportunity to revive the relationship with him and then disappears. What can we do to still try to continue to revive our relationship with him when we cannot see him?
Well, that's service and separation. The relationship is never lost. Physical proximity is just one way to relate on the spiritual plane. In the material world, it's the main thing. In the spiritual world, relationships can be based on being with the object of devotion or being separated from the object. In order for that relationship to develop in the mood of separation, there has to be some meeting. So in meeting Krishna or being with Krishna, he attracts that loving mood. And then when he disappears, that loving mood extends itself into a mood of, again, wanting to be with Krishna. So that's worshiping Krishna in the mood of separation. That means thinking about him, praying to him, trying to serve in ways that would be pleasing to him. All of these are expressions of the mood of wanting to be with him in the mood of separation from him. So mood of separation is just as equal in sweetness and even greater than the mood of meeting. In fact, the mood of separation is even greater. Because the hankering for the association of Krishna increases that loving mood. You see that in the material world sometimes too. You see when a person is separated from someone they love, as soon as they come together again, that immediate moment of meeting again is so exuberant and so loving and so wonderful. But then it wears off in the material world, and then people go back to the routine again. But in the mood of separation, when that meeting comes, wow, it's like everything. You see that, I see that in airports when people are waiting for their loved ones, they haven't seen them. And then they come together, and in that meeting, there is so much joy and affection exchange, and words are coming out from both sides, and everyone is just, again, reminiscing their old times or expressing their love for their friend or their relative. But then in the material world, it doesn't last. But in the spiritual world, Krishna makes it last by coming and going. Comes, gets you all fired up, and then he leaves. And then you get fired up in the mood of separation, and he comes, and it's sweet again, and then he leaves again. So that's that, he does that to his devotees. That's special.
Maharaj, that is such a nice example, just like Dear Krishna said of the airport. Maharaj, piggybacking on Dear Krishna's question, is sometimes in the mood of separation, how can we maintain the devotional mood of separation without giving up or without being distracted or by replacing it with something mundane?
By chanting, by hearing about Krishna increases that loving service mood. That, so we have to regularly hear about Krishna, regularly chant the glories of the Lord. This keeps us connected in that mood of separation. And it charms the heart, it awakens the bhakti. If we're not serving and not hearing and chanting, and we're waiting for Krishna to come, it's like, it's not, that's just mundane. You show your eagerness to be with Krishna by hearing about him, by serving his devotees. All of these are expressions of I want to be with Krishna. That's the underlying mood of service, is to connect with Krishna. So the process of bhakti is the expressions of wanting to be with Krishna, especially hearing and chanting about Krishna. That's the essence. And that hearing and chanting is non-different than being with Krishna also. When it reaches the stage of freedom from offense, when there's pure hearing and chanting. And one can experience Krishna through that sound vibration.
Thank you, Maharaj. That was really, really helpful. Thank you so much. Any questions from devotees? Yes, Nitya Gopal, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Maharaj. So regarding we discussed everyone has a particular relation with Krishna. How one go about reviving that relation? Is there any particular sadhana, or we have to just go on the sadhana and that will be revealed automatically?
Yeah, hearing and chanting is the sadhana. That revives the relationship. Everything is based on hearing about Krishna. When hearing becomes strong, then one will want to repeat what they hear. And that is kirtanam of Krishna, which eventually fortifies and strengthens smarana, or remembrance. The whole process is to hear about Krishna. Hear about his pastimes, hear about his qualities, his forms, his names, his pure devotees. here as much as possible. It's very simple.
Very
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you.
And very nice question too, Nita Gopal. Thank you that we just continue hearing and chanting, just following our sadhana. That's amazing. Thank you, Maharaj. Any points from devotees? Anything? I'm hearing some feedback. I don't know whether it's my end or what. But are there any questions from devotees? Maharaj, that's one thing that I would like to clarify just for me, because I think I may have missed a little half of the sentence. When you were mentioning about the pastime of the wives of the Brahmanas, when they came to see the Lord, and Krishna says, go back. And I think, and Maharaj, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think you said that the Lord told them to leave because their perfection, their love wasn't perfect, or something, Maharaj, you were saying. I'm trying to understand that.
Mentioned their love wasn't perfect yet. So Krishna wanted them to go back and serve their husbands and think of him. And by thinking him in the mood of separation, they would increase that loving mood towards him. And that would bring them to perfection.
And that goes back to the Maharaj, the comment you said about service and separation, Vipralamba Seva.
It's the same thing.
Ah. Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. Maharaj, also I have another question, Maharaj, when you're speaking about you know, the cheating propensity, like how Krishna is a cheater. And sometimes the devotees, even the gopis, they would do a little cheating to go see the Lord. And sometimes we come across such situations where devotees take that pastime very literal. And they say, oh, but I'm cheating the name of the Lord, or I'm doing this name of the Lord, taking it very loosely. Maharaj, how can we be careful not to imitate being the pure devotees of the Lord, thinking that it's okay and get away with, quote unquote, with murder, like how can we not imitate?
You're not Krishna, that's for sure. So if you're doing the same thing he's doing, then you're imitating. So sometimes devotees will do something a little outside of the box, but it shouldn't be done for personal motivation. It may also be done for the sake of service. Like, I'm thinking of this is sometimes, I don't know how to express this one. It's a little difficult to express this one without being in the mood of self-interest. Well, I know, some people, when they organize programs, like big programs, they'll put certain people's names on the list just to attract people to come. And these people are not going to be there anyway. So they juice up the roster in order to attract people to come. So you might say that's a little bit of cheating, but the purpose is to get more people to come, which is good in that sense. But I wouldn't recommend you do that. And then when they're not there, you say, well, oh yeah, they couldn't make it. They at the last minute,
Marge, I was going to say that, oh, I can say that they didn't come. Then probably next time when I do it, they'll say, okay, Hannes is a liar.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes. But, I mean, I'm not saying you should do that, but the idea is to get more people to come. So,
Thank you, Maharaj. Marge, there's a question here from Adi Lila. She says, Dear Guru Marge, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Could you please explain the Siddha Pranali initiation that is practiced in India and why is it not recommended? I met some devotees who left ISKCON because of that, and they call it traditional initiation. How to understand it?
Whoa! We're opening up an encyclopedia worth of discussion. Whoa. As I mentioned, Mahaprabhu has given us the formula that unless one is spontaneously attracted to Krishna, they haven't reached perfection. As spontaneity comes with the development through the different stages of bhakti. When one reaches the platform of nishta, which is not easy to attain, which is the 5th stage, then one is free from most of the impediments in their devotional life. 75% free from all anarthas. Then in that platform, they stay fixed in their practice of devotional service, and they develop preliminary attraction for Krishna. As Nishta matures, it comes to Ruchi. When Ruchi comes, then there is a sweet taste that manifests according to different activities performed in devotional service. But on the platform of Ruchi, the devotee is satisfied, is happy. Now, from Ruchi comes the next is Ashakti. Now, Ashakti starts to manifest the platform of spontaneous devotional service. It also starts on Ruchi. But it begins on Ruchi and manifests itself on Ashakti. On that platform, one is spontaneously attracted to Krishna in a certain mood, whether in friendship, in conjugal love, or in mostly those two, mostly in friendship or in conjugal love, or even in Vatsalya Ras. And then one practices Raganuga sadhana. And Raganuga sadhana is given usually by your spiritual master or one who is qualified, who is already situated on that platform. And there are principles by which you follow that sadhana. Now, His Holiness Shiva Ram Maharaj has been encouraging devotees to understand that the process of bhakti needs to come to that spiritual platform of spontaneous devotional service. So he's writing books based on this. And one small book that he wrote is called Spontaneous Devotional Service, which he outlines the whole process and explains, what it's not, what it is, according to Shastra, according to Guru, according to sadhus who write about these, especially Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. These are two devotees who are practicing spontaneous devotional service in their writings. So, but then it's recommended that one, in order to properly execute the Raganuga sadhana, one has to work under the guidance of a guru. And then there are certain qualifications in order to enter into Raganuga sadhana. But it is a stage that is required that every devotee come to that stage and be able to execute bhakti in that stage. So it's mentioned in Rupa Goswami's Ujjvala Nilamani, Govinda Lilamrita, Vilapa Kusumanjali, which is a book that was just recently released by Shiva Ram Maharaj. He outlines the whole process based on Raghunath Das Goswami's spontaneous loving devotional service to Srimati Radharani. So it's an interesting book. I suggest you get it and read it, because he gives the whole process along with the higher mellows explained in Raghunath Das Goswami's loving mood to Srimati Radharani. So these things are available, but one should understand when one has to know when they're ready to perform Raganuga sadhana. If you're still overcome with anarthas, then you're not ready. And then you should know what the anarthas are. So the anarthas are 16, there's 16 anarthas, 4 categories of 4, and each category is different. So in Madhurya Kandambini, and in, what is that other book? Where Bhakti Vinod Thakur, can't think of it. Both of them outline the whole process of spontaneous devotional service. It's also mentioned nicely in Raghunath Das Goswami's Mana Shiksha. That's a nice book to read also. So you can read about these things, then you can see where you are. The idea is to honestly evaluate, well, what material attachments you have and what is the steps you need to move forward and free yourself from those material attachments. And then come to these different stages of bhakti as Rupa Goswami outlines, the 9 stages. So as I mentioned, when one comes to the platform of Ruchi, they're on the brink of performing Raganuga sadhana. And it usually mentions that Siddha Pranali is the initiation into Raganuga sadhana, which develops it's more of a higher stage of Raganuga sadhana. When you're actually performing Raganuga sadhana, you start to understand deeper what is your relationship with Krishna. And then that, once you understand that relationship with Krishna, then there is different services you perform in that relationship with Krishna. And that is Siddha Pranali initiation. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati eliminated that process from devotional service because it was being misused, abused, and cheated. And Srila Prabhupada followed it in. So when they asked Prabhupada, how will we know? Prabhupada said, when the disciple is ready, the Guru will come and reveal to them the process of the sadhana, Raganuga sadhana. So yeah, you have to see where you are. Where are you in devotional service? Are you still on? Most of us are still on Anartha Nivritti. We're struggling with those 16 Anarthas. And this year, coming up in April, we'll be doing a disciples meeting in New Vrindavan from the 7th to the 10th of April, which is Easter weekend. We invite anyone to come to the program. And we'll be speaking about Madhurya Kandambini, which hits on this whole platform of Raganuga sadhana. And for those of you who are interested, we have 2 very illustrious guests to speak. One is Bhuta Bhavana Prabhu, and the other one is Chidi Shakti. Both of them, your god brother, god sister, they will be coming. So we're going to explore this process a little bit more of spontaneous devotional service, which is important because unless we understand that that is a stage that we have to come to, the reason why ISKCON is somewhat not averse to it, but at the same time not giving it any emphasis, is because Prabhupada didn't give it any emphasis. Because when Prabhupada came, we were all just beginning the process of devotional service. Prabhupada talked about it, and Prabhupada wrote about it, Prabhupada referenced it, but he explained the qualifications for practice. So that's nicely explained in Shivaram Maharaj's book, Sutta Bhakta Chintamani. I would highly recommend devotees to get that book, Sutta Bhakta Chintamani, which he wrote about 15 years ago. And then you can understand what is that sadhana that you have to perform in order to come to the stage of understanding the Siddha Pranali. In the Siddha Pranali, there's 11 principles by which identify the characteristic of a jiva who has attained to that stage of Raganuga Sadhana, Raganuga Bhakti. It's not an easy thing. Now, there are gurus going around who are not ISKCON gurus. They are coming from either the Gaudiya Math or have branched off from ISKCON and started their own little preaching, who are offering people Raganuga Sadhana or teachings of Raganuga. Now, I don't know how bona fide they are. I don't know enough about them. I won't mention any names, but they are there in the United States. They're also there in Europe. They're also there in India. Like that.
Marge, thank you for this wonderful explanation, because I know that I hear it bits and pieces of, such things happening that's sometimes confusing devotees. And I think sometimes for some devotees, it confuses them to the point where they think it's something, the grass is greener on the other side. And then they just go, and then they get so more confused, and then they confuse those around them. And it's just such a nice explanation, Marge, and thank you for really clarifying. And as you're speaking, Marge, I couldn't help but think of two very extreme.
Grass is greener on the other side. But if you're a cow, it is greener. If you're a dog, then you won't know what to do with it.
That's
Become a cow before you decide to go for the greener grass.
that's right, Marge. But Marge, as you were speaking about this, I was thinking about two very esteemed devotees, that I had the good fortune, is Mother Kalini and Mother Krishna Nandini. Like, I know Mother Kalini, she gave her life up until the end, until she felt sick and she couldn't live in Gitanagari. Her main service was cooking Lord Jagannath's dressing and caring for the cows. And she never ever once mentioned that this is my Siddha Swarup or whatever. She just had the natural inclination to serve the deities, the devotees, and the cows. And for Mother Krishna Nandini, she gave her life, as per Srila Prabhupada's instructions. One time she said that Prabhupada told to take care of the devotees or marriage or something like that. And that's what she did all her life. But she never ever said, oh, this is my Siddha, this is my, whatever. She just did it because out of service. So much we have living examples of devotees, proper disciples, senior devotees, who just did it out of service, not to find out that is their Siddha. So do we have to get into that stage, Marge, or can we just continue the service and not even worry about it?
Well, there is ways to increase that loving attraction that is part of the Raganuga Sadhana. And the main thing is to find an eternal associate of Krishna, take shelter of that associate, pray to them, and serve them and offer prayer and glorify them. They will also help you if that is your mood. Otherwise, if that's not your mood, they will direct you towards that other mood. But usually a person who is spontaneously engaged in devotional service, they may also know their mood, but they don't reveal it, because Prabhupada said you shouldn't speak about it. Even when they asked Prabhupada what was his internal mood, he wouldn't give the answer. Although he indicated in a few statements that he made, but he never spoke directly that he was a gopi or he was a cowherd boy or whatever his relationship was. He indicated certain things, and devotees speculated based on those indications. But it's mentioned that if you reveal your internal mood as it's developing, you impair that development. It's something that it's only between you and your spiritual master. That's it.
Thank you, Maharaj. That was nice. That really helped. And Marge, and I'm sorry, Marge, go ahead.
Some of these devotees who you mentioned, they may have known, but they don't speak about it.
That's true, because I mean that was like their service. It was such an inspiration that they day in, especially Mother Kalini with the milking of the cows in the morning at 5 o'clock. Like it was such an inspiration that no one could do what she does. At least
You know, she gave her life for it, and she lovingly was attracted to it. She was
yeah,
special, very special.
she was very special, Marge. Yes. And Marge, and you spoke about, that many of us are still on the another nivriti stage because we have to do a lot of cleaning up. And so Marge, should our um, mindset, I think is the right word, I don't know, but should our mindset be just continue to just follow the process, clean up our acts, continue to serve, and but under the guidance of the spiritual master, the seniors, and Krishna will just reveal as time goes on, Maharaj?
Because if you're cleaning up and you're serving, you're actually revealing more of your natural Krishna consciousness, your purity. So that Krishna taking over is simply in the process of purification. That's it. You're getting purified. We should be consciously aware of where our anarthas are, where our flaws are, and try to, get beyond them, destroy them, replace them with Krishna conscious spiritual principles. It's like attachment to something material. If it's that same attachment, if it's given towards Krishna, it strands it down. If it's given towards these mundane things, it's material. So we have to get attached to Krishna by getting attached to the process of becoming Krishna conscious.
And Marge, like you said, which I'm so glad that Dhira Krishna made a note of it, because I couldn't get all the words. Like you said, and the underlying mood of service is to connect with Krishna. And we express our eagerness and interest for Krishna by hearing about him, by chanting his name's glories and pastimes, and serving his mission and his devotees.
Yeah. Satam prasangam mamavirya sambido bhavanti rikarna visayana kata. Najosi na tattavartini raktir batir anukramishyati. That in the association of your devotees, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord brings happiness to both the heart and to the ear. In that process of development, then real bhakti and devotional service actually begins. So you might say, following rules and regulations are meant to get you off the bodily platform, but they're not bhakti. Bhakti is attraction for Krishna in different moods. If you're expert at following the rules and regulations, but you're not developing your bhakti, that is called niramagraha. That means simply following rules and regulations for the sake of following. And that is one of the ways to fall down. So we follow rules and regulations because they get us off the bodily platform. They free us from the contamination of the material energy. But bhakti means loving service to the Lord. So the rules and regulations are supportive, but they're not the end in itself.
Thank you, Marge. I was making note of how you were saying it. It's so beautiful. I had to make note of it. Rules and regulations are meant to get us off the bodily platform, but it's not bhakti. But once we are able to follow the rules and regulations to get us off the bodily platform, Marge, is only when we can open up, quote unquote, the heart to devotional service, Marge.
It's good. It's simultaneously.
Simultaneous.
Yeah, simultaneous. We have to follow the rules and regulations. There's in the nectar devotion, there's a list of 64 regulations. And these are, some of them are, you know, what they call vidis, things to do, and others are called nishedas, things to avoid. So you have to know what to avoid and what to do. But this is preliminary. When you actually start developing your attraction to Krishna, then the rules and regulations become servants of the devotee. And not focused, they just assist the devotee. Because they've come to the platform of love. Just for example, we have the example of Shalbri. Shalbri was this aesthetic lady who was living in the forest, and she had a guru, I think it was Mandaka Muni or some particular great sage, and he had followers. So she was a great devotee of her spiritual master. So he got liberation, and all her god brothers also got liberation. But he told her to stay there because soon the Supreme Personality of Godhead will come, and she should serve him when he comes. So she was living in the forest of Dandakaranya. So she was thinking, well, when he comes, I want to give him some nice fruit. So she was tasting these wild fruits that had both a sweet taste and a bitter taste to it. So she would take the fruit, bite it, and then if it had a sweet taste, she would put it in one basket. And if she had a bitter taste, she would put it in the other basket. And she was just waiting for the Lord to come so she could give him the sweet tasting ones. Now she bit them already. And you don't eat anything first and then you offer it to the Lord. But her spiritual master said, prepare for the Lord's coming. When you come, you welcome him and give him, some nice fruits. So in order for her to make sure that the fruits were the best, she tasted them. And when Ram came, she gave him the fruits that she bit into, and he accepted it. Because it was based on love. When love is there, rules and regulations, take a backside. They take a lesser role. Can't legislate love, it comes naturally. And once it's there, it is the supreme rule.
So Marge, is the process first starts with rules and regulations is to help us to get on the bodily platform, simultaneously building bhakti, and over a period of time, when love slowly develops and becomes sweeter, pure, then the rules and regulations will switch the roles and become the servant, Maharaj? Is that how it works?
Yeah, in other words, they don't become the main thing. The devotee will still follow the rules and regulations. But if it interferes with their loving service, then that takes a backside. And Prabhupada did that sometimes. Sometimes he just, did things that were outside of the rules and regulations. Because it pushed on Krishna consciousness. For the sake of preaching, he did that. Preaching is an expression of devotion because it's the heart of Krishna. When you preach, you're actually getting into the essence of Krishna's heart, because he wants as many souls to come back. See, Krishna is a greedy lover. He's a greedy lover. He wants to taste loving relationships with each and every one of his parts and parcels. And he knows that each part and parcel, just like on a material level, we all have different personalities. No two personalities are exactly the same. No two fingerprints are the same. No two snowflakes are the same. No two leaves on the tree are the same. So there's diversity in the material world. In the spiritual world, that is the original of diversity. So each soul has a unique, loving relationship with Krishna. that's different from any other soul. Krishna wants to taste. So therefore, when you bring that soul to Krishna, that's the best service you can do. That's good for that person because it gets them out of the material world, but it connects them to Krishna, and then Krishna can have a loving relationship with that soul. And that's what he wants. Prabhupada said he's a lusty boy. But his lust is love. It's not lust, really. He has an unlimited desire to taste love.
Marge, there's another question that just popped up, and this is Bhakti Saurabh. He's asking is how to understand if rules are put back because of love.
You can't just do that. You have to be able to be on that platform. That's why Prabhupada said it takes intelligence. It's not like you can come up to a certain understanding. You have to be intelligent. Prabhupada did some certain things that we can't do. He changed the whole face of the performance of bhakti for the Western mind because he needed to adapt it for the Western culture. What he did and what was done in India was done differently in other countries. As more or less of a compromise. But when Prabhupada was asked about that, he said, I became successful because of that. But then the question came, well, how do you know? And Prabhupada said, that takes intelligence. That was the answer. And what is that intelligence is? What is it? What is a detail and what is a principle? A detail is a detail, and a principle is something that is normal. Just like I'll give you an example. The principle is to chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds. The detail is when do you chant? Where do you chant? That's a detail. The principle is to take only prasadam. The detail is whatever kind of prasadam you take. That's a detail. So, you have to know. So the answer is it takes intelligence. That's all. One should not surreptitiously or automatically think that they can just adjust things and push the rules and regulations in the background. Then you become fallen. Then you become sahaja. That's called cheat. That's sahajism. Acting like you're on the loving platform, but when you're really not.
Thank you, Marge. These were like amazing questions and amazing discussion. I'm hearing a voice, and I want to make sure that I'm catching someone's question here, and trying to figure out who it is that I'm missing someone's question. Probably it's just my mind. Amazing questions, amazing discussion, really, really nice questions. Would like to ask devotees if you have any other questions to ask, any thought that's coming to your mind, clarification, anything that you'd like to ask Marge. This is a really, really sweet topic, as Maharaj said, very, very sweet purport. And if there isn't, Marge, would you like to end with a run of chanting? Or I know you said you have to go somewhere this evening.
Yeah, it's in about 24 minutes, my program's going to start.
Marge, then you need time to get ready too, so I don't want to take so much of your time.
But the idea of chanting one round sounds very attractive.
Yes, Maharaj. As long as I'm not holding you back, Marge, I don't want to hold you back from your program.
Well, the thing is, I think I need to chant around before I begin. So I'm motivated by self-interest there. Okay, Jai Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari, Gaura Bhaktivinoda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram.
I think we temporarily lost Maharaj, but I'm thinking that he may join back to finish the japa. So let's give it a couple of more minutes.
Sure, Mati.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. It doesn't look like Kamarj is going to come back because I think also he has 15 minutes to leave for the program. So on behalf of Chandramali Swami and all the devotees here, I would like to thank all of you for joining our morning class this morning. And thank you for joining us. I hope all of us really enjoyed and benefited and learned lessons and, realizations and reflections from Chandramali Swami's class. Thank you and wishing all of you a wonderful day. Vanchakaptibhyascha, Kripasindabevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. His Holiness
Jai.
Swami ki.
Yeah.
Jai. Thank you for today.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.